Hey there, folks. Pliskin by 51mm. Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas Eve, rather. I figured tonight I'd do something a little different. Something gun related. It's a video style that I've been wanting to do for a little bit. And it's going to be super ultra serious, don't you know? But anyway, I figured I'd do Glock versus 1911. So I've written out some points here. They're very simple points, so let's begin. Alright, so this is some, revolutionary discovery. The 1911 is made of steel. It's an all-steel pistol, and the Glock is made out of polymer. The only part of it that is steel is the barrel and slide. So that contributes a lot to recoil. The 1911 does recoil a little bit more because it shoots 45 ACP, but if it were polymer, I'm sure it would recoil a lot more than the Glock if the Glock was in 45 ACP. But that being said, this is a 9mm, and compared to my CZ75 SP01, the recoil in this is a lot more substantial than the CZ, because the CZ75 SP01 is all steel. So the recoil in this compared to that is a lot more, but still not as much as the 1911. Alright, next revolutionary point. The 1911 has a safety and the Glock doesn't. Alright, so as you can see here, the 1911 has a thumb safety on the side. It also has a grip safety right here. Both are unloaded, by the way. I forgot to mention that. See, no bolts coming out of there. It's not a Pez dispenser. But the Glock, the 1911, yes, this is a Glock, don't you know? The 1911 has two safeties, side thumb safety, and then palm grip safety there. But the Glock also has a safety, and it's in the trigger. And to add to that point, the Glock, the 1911 has a hammer. So a more moving part on the 1911. Whereas the Glock is striker fired like a bolt action. There's a little sear in here that goes down when you pull the trigger and lets the firing pin go home. Pow. We'll say the reset's not as good as the 1911. Oh, I got some Black Sabbath playing in the background. Let's see. Oh yeah, reset a lot better on the 1911. Alright. Point number 3. The 1911, by design, has less ammo per mag, whereas the Glock has more ammo per mag. Very revolutionary stuff. I just found this all out here, just waking up the other day. You know, I looked at my Glock and my 1911. This one holds more ammo than the 1911. But as you can see here in the mags, I think these hold 20. It says 16 on there, but I think you can put 20 in these. The Glock 19X came with these. And then these are the 1911 mags, as you can see, 8-round capacity. It's a big difference there. So, 1911 has less ammo than the Glock. So that means you have less get the fuck out of my face juice. Here I am swearing on Christmas. My goodness. Okay. You have less remove yourself from my perimeter and get thou rear end off thy property juice, as opposed to the Glock. So that is point number 3. Or was it point number 4? I can't remember. Okay. Alright. The 1911 shoots 45 ACP. The Glock shoots 9mm. Now that's kind of a moot point. That's kind of the basic, Uh, 1911 shoot 45 and Glocks shoot 9mm. Now these two here are indicative of that, standard point that is usually made, but the reality is, in this day and age, you can get a 1911 in 9mm and a plethora of other pistol cartridges. You can get them in 10mm, 38 Super, and I'm sure a whole bunch of others I can't remember right now. 380 ACP. Same thing goes for the Glock. You can get a Glock in 45 ACP. You can get it in 40 Smith. You can get it in 10mm. I think they do make one in 380, because my buddy had one in 380, and we shot the hell out of it. It was actually a really nice pistol. It was a single stack Glock, and you can get them in both pistols in all sorts of different sizes. You can get the 1911 in a commander concealed carry style, where the barrel comes up to here. And then you can get Glocks in long slide, where the barrel comes out to about right here. So really, that's kind of a moot point. 1911 shoot 45, Glocks shoot 9mm. That's kind of a moot point in this day and age, but the two examples I have in my own personal collection, the Glock and the 1911, are very much along the lines of that old adage of, 1911's a 45 and a Glock is a 9mm. This one being a Glock 19X, so it's a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact, and this is a full size, GI style 1911. The recoil 45 ACP, I really love 45 ACP. This stuff is some powerful crap. It blew my mind, honestly, because I started out on my CC75 SPO1, so 9mm was kind of the first full-on pistol cartridge I got really, used to. If you don't want to count 38 Special and 44 Magnum, which my dad owns 2 revolvers in those. But 45 ACP, when I started shooting it, I couldn't the damage it would do to inanimate objects was insane. Because you shoot a pop can a few times with 45 ACP, there's nothing left of it. Whereas you shoot a pop can a few times with 9mm, you still have a lot left to blow apart on it. So there's that argument. But really, in today's day and age, the whole, 1911s are solely 45s and Glocks are solely, 9mm. That's kind of a moot point in this day and age, because you can get either one in a wide variety of calibers and different sizes. So, but in terms of power, the 1911 in 45 ACP is going to really outdo a Glock in 9mm. Now, I know what I really did right there is I just straight up opened a rift in space-time reality just by saying that, because there will be a whole ocean of people that will come and tell me I'm unqualified to own any firearm simply because I stated an opinion of a cartridge that has a much bigger diameter bullet, and with it being a hollow point, it will expand out more to the size of a smaller cartridge that is also a hollow point. But I digress. 9mm is also no slouch. If you get hit by a 9mm, your day is ruined, and you will find yourself in the ER questioning everything that you have ever done up until that point, and hoping you don't die. So, really, that's the case in point, but the smaller cartridge with a hollow point will not open up to the same size as a 45 with a hollow point, because when this dude expands, you won't be laying in the bed wondering what you did wrong in life. You'll be at Dell Cemetery wishing you were still alive. But I digress. All right. Alright, my fourth point. Is that my fourth? No, it's my fifth. Is another point between the 1911 and Glock. is that the 1911 has more recoil and the Glock doesn't. And then that goes back into my other point, that it is very much cartridge dependent. I burped on camera. Shame on me. But I can't pause the video to edit now, can I? But that goes back to my other point, is that you can get either of these in different cartridges in today's world. And I'm going to assume that a Glock in 45 ACP will recoil a lot harder than a 1911 and 9mm. So that's kind of a moot point. But that is the point I always see. The 1911 recoil is harder. There it is much harder to control. And I will agree that the recoil impulse on a 1911, unless you shoot it a lot. Whereas, like I said, I came off of 9mm as my primary, pistol cartridge. I've got 2 9mm and 145. I hope to change that in the near future. But starting with a CZ75, which is basically just a modernized, I can't really say, a CZ75 is the love child between a Browning high power and a 1911, essentially. And I'm sure there's a plethora of other firearms in there. And then there again, me just saying that, I've opened a rift in the time-space continuum. It'll be a wonder if I'm not impaled and crucified after the end of this video, because the churches of all the different firearms will come and blaspheme my house and excommunicate me with pitchforks and fire. But anyway, coming off the CZ75, which is an all-steel frame pistol, shooting 9mm, the 1911 was certainly a different beast because of recoil impulse. I had to get used to that recoil impulse, and in fact I added a muzzle brake to it to try and help. The muzzle brake's just badass, and it does help too. It keeps the level more steady, the pistol more level and steady when I fire. Other things the 1911 has and the Glock has in comparison, can't even really compare price nowadays, because I got this 1911 for $420 back in 2022, and then I bought this earlier this year for like $600. So, but I've seen Glock, it depends on the model Glock too, and if it's used, you can get them for less than $600. I'm assuming. I will put in another portal here, but you can get them for less than $600, depending on where you look. And then you can get 1911s can go all the way up to about $4,000, depending on who you have work on it and where you buy it from. So, price is another point of conjecture, where people go on and on about one being better than the other. And they're like, oh, 1911 will cost $4,000. And then they'll say you can get a Glock for a penny type of mentality. At the end of the day, I own both of them, see? Some people will consider that blasphemy, and others will consider that the age of reason. I love both of them. And I think both of them are very fine pistols. I carry both of them. In fact, I was carrying the 1911 the other day, and then switched out and carried the Glock tonight when I went to the store. So, between the two, if I were to say what is a winner, because there has to be a winner. You can't, people who are hardcore into either firearm, they can't do like me. They can't cross over and have, be a member of both camps. That's sacrilegious. That's blasphemous. I am the black goat of the firearm community at this point, just by mentioning that. So, what would I consider a winner between, the Glock 19 or Glock style pistols, or the 1911 style pistols? More ammo, got 20 round mags. Hell, you can put 33 round mags in them. 1911, the farthest they'll go up to is about 15. Shoots a much heavier and what people would say is an inferior cartridge because it travels so slow and it's so heavy. I mean, you hold one magazine of 1911 45 ACP in a 1911 mag, and you're out of breath by the time you get down the side of the hill, but you could have 30 of these on your belt and be able to run for 3 miles straight. So which of these is the winner? There has to be a fucking winner. I'm swearing on Christmas again. Well, you know who the winner is? My ultimate concealed carry firearm. My M14A4 M1A Scout Squad. Because no matter what you're packing in your concealed carry pistol, it all fucking sucks compared to 3-8. 3-0-8. So there we go. Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Here's the new concealed carry pistol of the millennium, folks. Get yourself a pocket pistol, a pocket cannon, the fucking M1A.